Halo, saya Sasha Saidin. Selamat datang ke Hello Sehat, apa khabar? Di mana kami ingin bersama anda bicara hati ke hati.
Saya Dr. Fariza, pakar perubatan hematologi, pecara perubatan dan juga host podcast pada hari ini. Tujuan utama kita hari ini, Syah, adalah untuk membincang secara umum berdasarkan pengalaman peribadi kita dan juga tetamu kita. Betul. Jadi sekarang apa yang kita nampak adalah satu trend masa kini untuk orang muda bekerja keras dalam apa yang kita panggil budaya hustle culture. Jadi tak salah bekerja keras kerana ketika inilah masanya untuk kita membina nama, membina kerjaya, mencari wang, mencari harta dan juga membina reputasi kerjaya kita. Tetapi apa yang orang-orang muda buat sekarang, diorang pergi kerja awal, balik dewan. Lepas tu buat overtime lagi weekend. Kalau tak buat macam tu nanti bos cakap tak rajin, susah pula nak naik pangkat kan.
Ya. Betul. Jadi di sebalik hustle culture golongan belia secara tidak sedar dan tidak sengaja telah lupa untuk memberikan perhatian kepada aspek kesihatan.
Yeah.
That's what kita nak highlight pada hari ini. Ada yang mula rasa tidak sihat badan, sakit kepala, and then on top of that, lambat berjumpa dengan doktor.
Ya, sebab dia kata dia muda lagi. Sakit sikit-sikit.
Dan yang lebih membimbangkan, mereka seolah-olah menerima saja simptom-simptom seperti sebahagian daripada stres.
Bahagian daripada hustle culture tadi.
Belum. Dan tidak pergi mendapat rawatan awal di klinik. Naughty. Jadi untuk mengupas trend yang membimbangkan ini, saya amat berbesar hati untuk memperkenalkan tetamu kami pada hari ini, Pekuam Bela dan Peguam Cara Alan Razak dari firma guaman Tetuan Azlan Razak dan Associates. Alan adalah seorang sahabat baik saya dan Dr. Fariza dan merupakan seorang peguam yang sangat rajin bekerja. Sangat rajin. So kita, it's a treat for us sebenarnya dapat dia jadi tamu kepada.
It's always a pleasure to have you around.
Yes. Jadi dia mempunyai etika guaman yang sangat tinggi. Memang boleh dikatakan cukup terkenal lah. Seorang peguam yang terkenal jugalah sebenarnya. Jadi Alan mendapat ijazah sarjana muda undang-undang pada tahun 2012 dari Universiti Utara Malaysia dan diikuti dengan ijazah sarjana muda kedua dalam jurusan kesusasteraan
English literature.
English literature dari Universiti Nottingham, Malaysia. Alan turut memiliki firma guaman sendiri iaitu firma Alan Razak and Associates yang memberi perkhidmatan guaman sivil dan jenayah. Wow, that's
impressive. Yes.
Dan terkini ada lagi. Mungkin ramai tidak tahu. Alan sedang menyambung pelajaran dia di peringkat PhD Doktor Falsafah dalam English Literature English Literature di Universiti Nottingham, Malaysia. Begitu hebat ya pencapaian peguam kita tetamu kita pada hari ini dan kita amat bertuah dapat mengupas topik ini bersama Alan. Apa khabar Alan? How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, sihat. Terima kasih kerana telah mengundang saya ke program podcast ni. Macam-macam yang disebutkan tadi. I hope I'm doing justice to every praise that's mentioned.
We're so honored to have you with us today. Thank you.
Pleasure is all.
So, sedikit introduction lah. Sebenarnya, saya panggil Alan Lan. Jadi, kami sebenarnya family friends. Ya. Jadi, Alan macam adik saya. Sahabat baik pada rahim, adik saya, seorang peguam juga. Jadi, dalam podcast episod sebelum ni, saya bawa under the head of a doctor lah. Tapi bila berbicara dengan Lan, saya bahasakan diri saya Kak Ja. Sebab memang family panggil Kak Ja kan. Jadi dalam podcast ni kita bicara dari hati ke hati. It's real talk. So to make it really real, then is how I talk to you on daily basis, you know. And we are also close as family, and you're close to my children also. Jadi I know that you have a lot of wisdom and a lot of experiences in real world, and especially given your high flying jobs and all these commitments that you are doing, studying, working, running your own business, defending people's lives in court. Jadi persoalan yang Kak Jah nak tanya ialah di sebalik mengulang kaji, menulis thesis, sebab tadi pun Lan cakap Lan tengah siapkan thesis Lan kan, the final thesis for your PhD submission.
Betul.
Jadi if you don't mind sharing lah, because this is about health kan, masa Lan tengah bekerja defending dekat court or running your business and running your reading like English lit Shakespeare books and writing your thesis, ada tak Lan mengalami apa-apa simptom kesihatan, and how serious do you take your symptoms ketika Lan menjalankan tanggungjawab Lan ke dalam di atas komitmen tersebut?
Memang pernah terjadi. Ini satu pengalaman, dan bukan saja pengalaman bagi Lan, tapi dia satu pelajaran juga. Pelajaran bagi Lan dalam hidup, kan, untuk kita reflect dan kita sentiasa beringat selepas ni. So, bila jawab soalan Kak Jah tu, betul, pernah terjadi 2024.
Tahun lepas.
Tahun lepas. Kan 2024 tu kemuncak dia lah. Tapi kalau kita nak kakam permulaan isu kesihatan ni bermula daripada 2020 sebenarnya. Sebab 2020 Lan mula mengambil keputusan untuk sambung belajar, meneruskan ijazah sarjana kedua. Dan masa tu Lan bukan sahaja bekerja sebagai peguam, tapi Lan menguruskan firma macam apa yang Syasha cakap tadi. Dan tambah satu lagi, topi pelajar. Jadi sambil bekerja, sambil menguruskan firma. Bila bekerja tu bukanlah hanya menghadiri persidangan di mahkamah di KL, tapi menghadiri persidangan mahkamah di luar KL juga.
Go out station.
Betul. Dari Johor, Kedah, so ada
Depending on where your clients.
Betul. Jadi, dan nak kena manage juga masa dengan kelas. Sekat Semenyih, kampus di Semenyih, office di Hartamas, rumah di Damansara. Jadi, dan court pula di seluruh Semenanjung Malaysia. Jadi benda tu memang sangat memberi tekanan pada waktu tu. Dan tapi saya memikirkan muda lagi. Normal lah, ini memang life.
Tak
kita
zip palis sikit
je tak apa. Nanti yang manis-manis nanti, bila dah habis nanti barulah kita rasa hasilnya. Jadi inilah kesusahan sekarang.
Lopeng dongkit lah macam tu.
Betul.
Ya ke?
Betul. Dan habis belajar, Alhamdulillah, 2023.
That was your second degree, right?
Betul. So, 2023 bulan 7, bila kita rasa, Alhamdulillah time tu saya dapat disamping belajar, bekerja, menguruskan firma dan belajar, saya dapat keputusan yang cemerlang. Alhamdulillah masa tu lah dapat first class. First class. Jadi rasa sangat puas sebab belajar, bekerja dan dapat juga keputusan yang cemerlang.
Excellent.
Jadi isu kesihatan kita dah lupa dah, kita punya stres, kita lupa pasal makan tak cukup, makan tak jaga, tidur tak cukup dan semuanya. Bulan 7 graduation time tu dan bulan 9 saya terus mendaftar. Terus mendaftar untuk sebagai pelajar PhD.
2 bulan je rest.
2 bulan
terus buat PhD.
Tak rest pun sebenarnya Kak Jah. 2 bulan tu bekerja lah. Tolak belajar, bekerja full time balik masa tu. Jadi bulan 9 mendaftar sebagai pelajar PhD dan berganda lagi komitmen pelajaran sebab peringkat dah semakin tinggi. Kan? Tapi kerja makin bertambah masa tu. Dan masa tu memang sangat stres lah. Sampailah stres tu dibawa sampailah ke bulan 12 2024.
Just like end of last year.
End of last year. Time tu demam, masuk hospital. Ingatkan demam semata-mata. Kak Jah pun datang hospital time tu.
I'm busy. Oh my god, and that's why.
Doktor datang, doktor kata, okay, forget about the fever. We have 2 problems now.
Demam tu penyebab je lah.
Demam tu orang kata, yelah,
demam baca lah.
You can cerita masa
sebenarnya
doktor datang, esoknya kot. Dia kata, okay, forget about the fever. Now there are 2 concerns we must address now. Saya dah takut lah, apa dia? Kolesterol dan juga BP. Jadi doktor kata ini bukannya yang tinggi sikit sebab biasalah umur dah meningkat sikit, memang normal tinggi sikit. Tak, doktor memang cakap memang tinggi. Kedua-duanya. BP dan juga kolesterol.
Boleh ke Lan share berapa tinggi bacaan ke
Boleh.
Too high.
Boleh. It's too high that I remember until now. How high. BP masa tu paling tinggi mencecah 190. Kak Jah datang hospital lawat Lan masa tu 170 something. Esoknya 190. Kolesterol 9. Jadi Kak Jah lagi tahulah, Kak Jah doktor kan, apa simboliknya 9 tu, betapa bahayanya 9 tu. Betapa bahayanya 190.
How about you? I mean, doktor mesti dah buat blood test masa tu
Betul.
kan. So the other things were okay. Macam
Alhamdulillah
buah
lain
pinggang
semua okey. Buah pinggang okey.
masih okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah semua okey, sebab Lan dah risau lah. Ingat kan ada masalah lain juga, jantung, buah pinggang. Kan? Doktor suruh kencing 2-3 kali sebab nak check juga kan. Apa-apa kan isu-isu yang lain tak ada masalah. Dan sebelum keluar hospital tu, doktor cakap dekat Lan, saya tanya lah, saya sakit apa ni doktor? Apa diagnosis
Masa tu
sebenarnya?
like seorang ke? Did you have your family with you, your friends when the doctor told you all this?
Masa masuk tu ada seorang je kawan.
Okay.
Memang cakap kat dia, jangan bagi tahu dengan family, jangan bagi tahu sebab
Kenapa takut dia risau?
takut risau satu. Dan masa tu masa lagi tak belajar lagi sebab Lan fikir I can handle my client's problem, I can handle my work
You
problem.
still wanted
Yeah.
to write.
So I
You can do it all on your own.
at the time I thought I could handle this.
Yeah.
Too disable.
Yeah, there's nothing I cannot handle.
Yeah.
So I thought I could do it.
Okay.
Sekali bila doktor dah datang, doktor cakap, your problem macam ni. Kak Jah pun dah datang, kan Kak Jah pun nampak stresnya Lan bila tengok apa
BP machine tu pun datang masuk
machine
jawab
tu,
BP
kan?
tu.
Ada juga dalam tempoh-tempoh denial, banyak denial masa tu. Dan macam upset sikit dan cakap dekat nurse, cuba lagi sekali.
Dengan harapan.
Dengan harapan turun tak makin tinggi, makin tinggi, static je. Jadi yang membuatkan Lan betul-betul duduk dan reflect balik, okay,
Yes.
I have a problem, I must address this issue. Bila doktor cakap macam ni, sebenarnya problemnya adalah post-stress management.
How do you feel when someone said that to you?
Ya, masa tu rasa
You thought you can handle it all.
memang tersedar. Tapi sebelum tu pula, malam tu bila doktor check, sebenarnya malam tu sebelum tidur, nurse datang, nurse nak check BP. Itu yang menjadi 190 tu. So 90, berapa sampai 190? Tinggi sangat ni sampai dia kata, okay, you doktor akan datang nanti, you relax dulu. Nurse datang balik, dia pergi satu ubat. Dia pergi ubat, dia cuma makan ubat ni. Okay, makan. Sekali esok, subuh-subuh dia datang, dia check balik BP, terus turun. Tanya nurse tu, ubat apa dia bagi ni? Rupanya ubat tu Xanax. Ubat penenang.
Okay.
Jadi time tu,
To help you sleep.
ya,
Maybe overthinking, kan?
Betul.
Still thinking about
The
work,
case.
how
betul.
maybe you thinking about work is piling up already.
Betul. Dan masa tu Lan bawa macam tipu-tipu doktor jugalah. Tak saya cakap, okay, jangan kita kerja dengan apa Lan tipu doktor. Sebenarnya Lan minta kawan seludupkan satu textbook Lan nak study untuk Lan punya thesis tu dan sebab Lan kata macam, oh, this is my reading time, I have to do something about this.
Yeah, you have a protected reading time. You always
Yeah.
do that, kan?
Yeah. Dan tapi time tu bila doktor kata bila Lan cuba fikkan balik all these puzzles kan, makan Xanax, post-stress management. Apa maksud dia? Sebenarnya masalah tu berpunca daripada Lan sendiri, daripada pilihan hidup kita. So Lan milih untuk sentiasa tak jaga makan sangat, tak jaga tidur sangat, because Lan percaya apa yang I used to believe in what you said, Shasha tadi kan, the more we work or even the more we overwork ourselves, the better we are as an individual, as a working individual. So I used to believe in that creed. But now I no longer do. I believe in an efficient life, which I'm now striving.
So when you were in hospital, did you tell your family at all, or you still didn't tell your family? Sekarang dah kamu ada pada hospital.
Lan bagi tahu abang-abang. Adik-beradik ada 5, tapi Lan cuma bagi tahu the high council je. Sebab Alhamdulillah make abang bagi tahu dengan orang, Lan update dia orang, Lan kata okay, setakat ni semuanya manageable, tak payah bagi tahu ibu dulu sebab nanti risau.
Tapi betul ke manageable at that time sebenarnya?
Tak pun sebenarnya. Even high council pun lah tipu jugalah. Tapi high council kalau dengan angah lah, bukan tak nak nanti dia orang risau. Tapi dalam masa yang sama, kawan-kawan rapat ada juga yang dah tahu dan diorang datang kan. Dan bila cakap kawan-kawan rapat tu termasuklah macam family friend Kak Jal sendiri. Sebab Pascal dalam fikir, my sister Kak Jal datang hospital and she's a doctor. Kan? Dan I mean, who's more accurate to give you advice on health than a doctor herself, right?
Pergi marah tak ada beletir tak?
Tak ada, tak bising kan.
Letih-letih manja.
Ya, so itulah dia. Jadi menjawab balik soalan Kak Jal tadi tu, pernah tak ada rasa-rasa kan tadi Kak Jal tanya, bukan sekadar merasa-rasa, memang pernah berpengalaman merasai kesan daripada pilihan hidup yang tak berapa bijak pada waktu tu. So, itulah pelajaran.
So the doctor who attended you the hospital at that time, he or she did the right thing, because whatever they said to you at that time really evoked something in you.
Betul.
Betul. And sometimes that's what we need to hear.
Betul.
Kadang-kadang ibu bagi nasihat atau kawan bagi nasihat, dia macam masuk sini keluar sini, tapi when someone else come and say it to you, it gives you a different perspective, different dimension.
Betul. So would you say that you're a workaholic? I ask you this because ramai anak muda bangga. Diorang bangga saya dapat bekerja, or mereka mahu bekerja sampai 10-12 jam in a day. Kan? So they're like, no, I work hard. They're proud of it, which is also a good thing, you know. So does that consider them a workaholic? You consider yourself a workaholic? Because hustle culture ni, it's almost become like a trend. Like, you know, we gotta hustle, you know. Tapi tanpa sedar, ramai yang they start to have insomnia, they can't sleep,
Betul.
anxiety, gastric, tekanan darah tinggi, like what you had. So in the end, even though they work really hard, which is fair enough because you want to see the results at the end of it, but the productivity starts to decline because of, so it has its pros and cons kan.
Mungkin peak sekejap, tapi lepas tu dia turun sampai you dah, body you dah tak boleh handle.
So after you left the hospital, what was your tindakan you untuk elakkan masalah kesihatan ni berulang kembali? Did you learn your lesson?
Oh yes.
Was it enough to just take the medicine, or did you change your whole lifestyle? Because I'm sure that can be difficult, because again, I asked you, do you consider yourself a workaholic? Because that's a serious thing, because it's not something you can just change overnight kan?
Ya. Sebenarnya betul lah, mungkin Lan anggap diri Lan ni workaholic kan, sebab because at the time I was wearing many hats. I was wearing a hat of a lawyer, of a hat of someone who had to man a law firm, a head of a student who's conducting a big research for a level at the highest academic hierarchy, PhD. Jadi yes, to put it simply, so I was a workaholic because I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to prove my worth, and masa tu lah terfikir untuk membuktikan nilai kita tu dengan apa yang kita produce tu mestilah juga dengan masa yang kita gunakan untuk menghasilkan apa-apa yang kita nak hasil, produk kita. Jadi Lan pernah percaya pada kepercayaan tu lah, pada value tu. Tapi yang okay lah, bangganya Lan agak, bukanlah bangga, mungkin Lan agak happy dengan pencapaian diri sendiri.
Kita mestilah banggakan diri kita.
Masa nak keluar hospital tu, doktor ada cakap, dia kata masa tu berat Lan 85, 85.
You remember your BMI or?
Ya, memang overweight. Overweight tu. Doktor memang cakap
overweight. 85 or 36.
Ya. Doktor nak bagi ubat kolesterol. Ya, tapi Lan cakap dengan dia, doktor saya tak tahu sebenarnya, tapi sampai saya dengar kalau makan ubat ni kita akan terus dependent dengan ubat ni, betul ke? Saya nak cuba dengan cara yang lain lah kalau ada. Doktor berkata, okay, kalau kita nak ambil, I suggest untuk you ambil. Tapi kalau you nak ambil, you kena betul-betul usahakan diet you, ni ubah cara hidup you. Bukan sekadar diet semata-mata, diet kena lifestyle change. Betul, kena ubah whole scheme of
life. So the ball black on your court.
Betul. Dia kata, are you willing to do this? Okay, what is it that I'm expected to do?
Okay.
Dia kata, ubah cara makan, ubah cara hidup, manage your stress, and exercise, exercise. Masa tu bulan 12 kan, semua orang tengah excited untuk New Year, resolution. Jadi itulah resolution. Jadi Lan masa tu, dan benda pertama Lan buat adalah Lan percaya bila kita ada masalah, kita kena acknowledge yang masalah tu wujud. Supaya kita tak in denial. So Lan acknowledge, I remember reducing it into writing. Lan cakap dekat situ, okay, I have to acknowledge something. I have a health issue that I want to overcome. Jadi isu dia adalah, okay, Lan buat dalam bentuk kronologi. Masuk hospital, doktor cakap macam ni.
That's how you process your...
Betul.
your
Betul. Bukan sekadar untuk beritahu dengan orang tu, untuk memberitahu diri kita. Dan bila kita letak benda tu in writing, it's a record that we can always remind ourselves again of that should we
steer away
from like half. Kan? Jadi, okay, benda pertama adalah acknowledge. Dan yang kedua, Lan cakap dekat doktor, Lan tak nak ambil ubat. Kan? Dan kalau tak ambil ubat, harga yang perlu dibayar adalah kena ikut lah. Apa yang doktor cakap, dan Lan betul-betul buat. Betul, dan betul-betul buat. Sampai, dan doktor masa tu warn juga. Dia kata, tak apa, kalau macam you buat apa you plan nak buat, tapi dalam masa sebulan you datang balik hospital, kalau I tengok tak ada apa-apa perubahan, you akan makan ubat, I akan prescribe ubat, you kena makan. Dan
Dia betul lah.
I keep the challenge from carrying it on. Dan Lan buat benda tu, alhamdulillah bila jumpa doktor, happy dengan keputusan.
Turut
tak ambil darah apa semua kan, doktor kata nampak peningkatan, kan, peningkatan dari segi penurunan kolesterol, BP semua tu. Yang kata okay, tak apa, keep doing what you're doing. Jadi Lan teruskanlah. Tapi selain daripada ubat yang Lan tak ambil kan, kesan daripada bila Lan buat semua tu bukan sekadar turunkan kolesterol semata-mata, tapi Lan rasa kualiti kehidupan tu bertambah baik. Jadi bila Lan kualiti kehidupan tu maksudnya kita rasa lagi tenang. Lagi tenang bila kita buat kerja, kita lagi tenang. Kita problem akan datang. Kita dalam mana-mana profession pun akan sentiasa ada masalah kan. Tapi bila masalah tu datang, kita akan terus acknowledge secara tenang dan secara profesional, there is a problem.
Yeah, rather than be in denial.
Betul. There's a problem. Okay, let's sit down and think about it and map out plans about how to go about this. Jadi, cara Lan punya thinking process, Lan punya decision making process nampak lagi teratur masa tu. Dan yang paling nikmat sekali pada waktu tu adalah tidur. Bila tidur, betul-betul dapat quality sleep. Kan?
Did you ever have problem with insomnia?
Betul. Dulu memang susah nak tidur. Sebab kalau ini live sebelum benda-benda ni terjadi kan, 9 sampai 6 bekerja.
Yes.
Lan rehat kejap dalam pukul 7 macam tu. Pukul 7 sampai pukul 2-3 pagi menulis thesis. Lepas tu 2-3 pagi tu pula balik rumah. Bukan terus balik. Nampak pula kedai-kedai burger yang sedap-sedap. Drive-thru, kemana, mamak, makan burger, makan double cheeseburger 2. Lepas tu balik rumah terus tidur. Manalah badan tak besar masa tu. Dan besarnya tak sihat. Kan?
I picked up one of the thing that you mentioned just now when your doctor wanted to start you on I presume it's a statin, which is a cholesterol lowering drug. And so the option tu ataupun pemakanan you ubah lifestyle change, you know. So actually because I know you memang high discipline, very dedicated, you are able to take the second option. But most people who are also listening right now, I think in our culture, our masyarakat, discipline is probably not something that's easily found. Discipline and dedication, especially kepada pemakanan. Kat Malaysia ni makanan sedap.
Ya, betul. Macam-macam boleh dapat.
It's a social event and it's also a gesture of love, you know. So kita makan si comfort semua. So the fact that you made to turn around your situation by changing your punya pemakanan, could you just share with us apa pemakanan macam Lan cakap tadi pukul 2 pagi makan dapat cheeseburger 2. So what did it take inside you to change that eating habits? And is it easy to do, or would you call it stress eating?
Stress eating, betul. Dia makan bukannya, there are I think 2 types of eating. First is when you eat out of hunger, pure hunger, and out of pure stress after having done something
Or
else.
maybe it's like a treat to
It's a
yourself.
treat, tapi treat is a big treat.
Orang kata comfort eating kan.
Eating tapi dah terlebih-lebih comfort kalau kan. Tapi menjawab soalan Kak Jah, bila Kak Jah tanya kan macam mana kita nak kekal
Istiqamah.
istiqamah tu. Sebenarnya pada Lan bukan buat seorang-seorang. Lan kebetulan dalam masa yang sama ataupun mungkin 2-3 bulan sebelum tu dalam kawan-kawan Lan yang sangat rapat dalam punya circle, sorang-sorang masuk hospital. Sorang-sorang masuk hospital. Kencing manis.
Oh no.
Lepas tu ada masalah masalah kesihatan yang lain.
Or your age.
My age. Jadi bila Lan masuk, Lan adalah orang yang ketiga. Macam pass the baton masa tu. Lan keluar hospital bulan 12, bulan 1 seorang lagi di Kedah, di Penang.
Ni kalau ada group kawan tu bah holiday sama-sama
Betul.
ni masuk
Dia semua masuk hospital. Jadi masa lah masuk
Betul.
hospital, diorang datang bila seorang tu dekat Penang, kita orang pula pergi Penang. And then we sat down and we talked about this kan.
Something's
Kita
not
kena
right.
buat lah. Something is not right.
Lah ni.
Yeah, we're happy with our life, we're happy with our friendship, but there's something with our health that I think we may have overlooked.
Yeah.
So let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about it. So acknowledging is always important. Kan sebagai peguam, Lan dibesarkan secara profesional lah dalam profesional undang ni dengan budaya untuk acknowledge fakta.
Yeah.
It's always about facts. So the fact is, we're all sick. We all have been leading a rather bad life. Let's not be denial about it.
Yeah.
Let's face it, talked about it. So we talked about it.
Wah.
Cara ke makan Jadi dalam grup kami, kadang-kadang apa yang kami makan, kami akan gambar. This is what I'm eating.
Kena declare lah.
Kena declare.
So kena kecam dah.
Kena masing-masing manja-manja lah, manja-manja judge, manja-manja. Tapi sebenarnya, sebenarnya itu semua dengan niat untuk gurau-gurau je. Tapi our true intention at the time was to keep each other reminded of the
Oh, that's such good friends you have.
Checking in on each other.
Betul. Anak berita sampai sekarang kami masih lagi ada lah dalam grup tu kan.
Survivor.
Memang kan biasa mengingatkan each other, makan. Yeah.
Tapi sebenarnya, if I can be a bit more serious and go back to yang tadi pasal workaholic. Okay, so tak semestinya Alan sendiri, tapi contohnya macam Alan tadi tak ada makan ubat kan.
Yeah.
Do you think there's also another way is it could be something that's psychological, and then the reason why is a person works so hard and pushes them almost to the edge. Do you think it's also good idea to go and see a psychologist maybe also to talk it out?
Ya, betul. Sebab Lan percaya dengan masalah luaran dan masalah dalaman, as in masalah emosi adalah dua jenis condition yang patut diberi penekanan yang sama rata. Kan? Jadi betapa pentingnya isu physiology kita, kan? Begitu jugalah pentingnya isu mental health kita. Dan Lan sendiri pernah berjumpa dengan terapis. Masa Lan baru-baru memulakan ijazah kedua. Sebab masa tu kita dah kerja. Kita dah kita ada tanggungjawab di pejabat kan.
Because people underwork.
Betul.
Right?
Dan fikir nak bayar gaji dia orang.
Dance juga lah.
Betul. Dalam masa yang sama aku belajar. Lan Kak Jah ingat tak datang rumah Kak Jah lah bilang
I was just thinking.
Yeah.
That was like when I was in.
Yeah, that was when I
Primary.
started my second degree masa tu.
Yeah.
Petang-petang pergi rumah Kak Jah.
Kak Jah mana bang makan malam masa tu.
Kak Jah ingat Lan tersalah hari.
Ya.
Tapi dia datang salah hari. Lan pun saja nak datang pada bukan hari tu sebab Lan takut kalau Lan pergi pada hari orang kena happy-happy, Lan breakdown, tak best.
So he came like 1 or 2 days early.
Yeah.
And I was like, tak, my dinner is actually Lan awal ni. Kata tak, memang Lan dah jumpa Kak Jah.
Dan Lan menangis, breakdown terus sebab Lan stres sangat nak handle.
So he
Yeah.
kena cari kakak dia.
That's how close we are, right, Kak Jah? Yeah.
And so what was the result of that?
Masa tu bila jumpa Kak Jah tenang. Sebab masa tu macam baru lagi. I was still getting used to the novelty of the whole me studying lawyering, manning a law firm, kan. Lepas tu kat dia bagi nasihat. Tapi nasihat tu dari segi macam kita nak
Kakak
jaga
lah.
akak, kan.
I cannot like also be like doctor.
Yeah.
Let me check your BP or something like. Tapi kalau dia dah rasa dah pengsan tu, I check lah BP dia. But macam masa tu, he just actually because you are putting out a very strong front all the time.
betul.
You have to be the lawyer. You have to be the everything. You kena tunjuk kuat. And then orang yang kuat ni pun, kita pun nak disayangi, nak
Betul.
di comfort. And sometimes where do we find that comfort? It's so hard to find. And if we have authentic friends, you ada your support group too, and you have close friends like us. And I also, alhamdulillah, I have Sasha, I have my husband, and I have my close friends also, my brothers and my sisters. It's very important to know when to reach out. So the fact that you reach out to me at that time,
Literally, it could be a life or death situation. Because you're reaching out to somebody.
kalau you BP tinggi kat office masa tu, and then let's say you pass out or something kan.
Bayangkan masa tu macam pukul peak hour lah. Pukul 5:30 masa tu daripada office dia datang laut dia memang tengah jam. Tapi masa tengah drive tu lah masih ingat lagi moment tu memang kosong. Dia macam I want to reach kat jap. Tu je. I don't care. Masa tu. Dan selepas tu in the course of my university years, pernah berjumpa dengan therapist yang dibuat appointment dengan therapist dan ceritalah apa sahaja. Dan sebenarnya berjumpa dengan therapist tu selain daripada kita rasa puas kita cerita apa yang ada kat dalam hati kita, another aspect of it yang Lan rasa satu pelajaran yang bagus adalah mengajar kita tentang erti humility.
Oh yeah, that's
Macam apa yang saya cakap tadi
like
kan,
I mentioned it.
kata you have been putting up
Giving
this
everything.
strong front,
Yeah.
kan? Dan because sebab itulah apa yang Lan memang nak buat dalam
People look up to you.
sebab Lan nak, I want to be I do not want to just appear strong, I want to be strong.
Yes.
I want to be confident because if I do not do all this, then what's the point of being a lawyer? That was what I found at the time.
Yeah.
Tapi Lan terlupa, at the end of the day, before I became a lawyer, I was a human being first. And I want to be a human being.
Yeah.
Kan? A perfectly normal human being who leads a normal life, who is bound to make mistakes and is hopefully learning from it. Tapi sebab Lan terlalu obses dengan harapan nak menjadi seorang yang kuat, seorang yang gagah dari segi personality dia kan, sampai Lan lupa untuk ingat kadang-kadang manusia ni dia perlu menangis, perlu meluah juga. Jadi Lan pergilah jumpa therapist tu. Ya, tapi itu dari segi mental health pula, the physical health pelajarannya 2024 bila Lan cakap dalam masa hospital.
Jadi sekarang ni untuk kurangkan kita use the word beban. I know whether it's a beban, but so you dah delegate your work ke macam mana? Or you take less cases ke? How do you work?
Dari segi structural management of my work, Lan dah mula ada, bukanlah delegate, tapi Lan dah mula ada satu sistem kan yang dekat office. Lan dah ada Lan punya own manager, Lan dah ada yang manage pasal kerja, apa kerja-kerja yang perlu dibuat. Lan sendiri manage jadual bila nak pergi ke mahkamah kan. Lan tak ada kata okay boleh je setiap minggu boleh travel luar KL. Lan akan cuba untuk pastikan akan ada
You
gap.
have to say no sometimes.
Yeah,
Not against all the
betul.
Were you micromanaging a lot before?
I was very much micromanaging.
So now you let to delegate your
Betul.
tasks by appointing people that can do the managerial
Betul.
task.
I'm learning to trust people.
Yeah, I think that's
Trust
good.
people.
Because you feel like you don't want to be hands on, and you're like, no, only I can handle this.
To be able to micromanage is to be able to place that trust
Yeah,
upon someone
betul.
who does the work on your behalf. Yeah.
So actually, I'm just going to throw some statistic here because other research from is reported by WHO, World Health Organization back in 2021,
Yeah.
and it's actually looking at mortality disebabkan induced by long working hours. So actually fenomena ini berkaitan dengan orang yang bekerja lebih daripada 55 jam seminggu. Jadi the work pattern lah, orang yang kerja more than 55 hours a week ni ada risiko dapat penyakit lah, terutama ni penyakit jantung. But I mean, this is of course we have to take into context what is the WHO research is about, but I think it's a good discussion point. Kita boleh bincang secara umum dulu without generalizing it. Tetapi now land on one aspect is a worker or a student, but on the other aspect, you are also a business owner. You run your own firms. So now we talked about you on this aspect, but now let's look at this aspect as a business owner. What happened to you make you rethink about policy at workplace, about your pekerja kan, you punya interns ataupun junior lawyers under you, or even your secretary or PE. How do you think what happened to you? How does it reflect on your policy as a business owner pula?
Sebelum Lan jawab soalan tu, Lan teringat dengan Dr. Lan sebelum Lan keluar hospital tu. Dia duduk dengan Lan, dia cakap macam ni. Dia kata I ni specialist Azlan dekat sini. I kira orang penting dekat hospital ni. Dia cakap macam tu.
Betul lah.
Lepas tu dia cakap macam ni. Menarik apa dia kata? Dia kata, kalau I tak jaga diri I, kalau I mati, kan, paling tak my husband, my kids sedih kejap, kan, I rasa maybe next month ke, terus dah ada dah new specialist datang duduk kat bilik I.
Yeah, I mean, as happy as that sounds,
You are replaceable.
Yeah, replaceable. So dia kata,
So dia bagi reality check.
dia bagi reality, you kalau you mati,
betul
kan, your client akan cari other lawyers, kan. Maybe lah, your mom akan sedih lama, kan, your adik-beradik akan bersedih lama, tapi diorang akan teruskan hidup, sebab itulah life, kan. You be the one rotting underground. So do you want that? Dan masa tu saya terfikir, Lan cakap study pun tak habis, banyak lagi benda-benda yang Lan nak buat tak dapat lagi dalam HKP, macam-macam pencapaian yang banyak lagi kan. And I want to be healthy, not because I want to do all this, but because I want to lead a healthy life. Jadi benda tu macam satu tamparan jugalah. Jadi macam Lan cakap kan, benda pertama kita kena acknowledge dulu masalah, dan Lan acknowledge itu adalah masalah, dan Lan kena buat sesuatu untuk ubah masalah tu. Jadi benda pertama Lan buat adalah cara bekerja. Cara bekerja dekat office Lan tu memang kalau boleh lah, kalau unless it's urgently necessary, dan akan halau semua balik after 6. Tak balik.
You yang suruh start. Terlapu.
Kalau Lan tinggal tak apalah, sebab Lan tunggu jam balik. Tunggu jam baru balik. Dia kalau sadar balik. Ya. Dan tak nak diorang stay. Sebab yalah, setiap nak jaga diorang punya mental health juga kan. Tapi sebenarnya lebih kepada bila office dah kosong after 6 tu nak tunggu sementara dah okey sikit kan, bukanlah sama kerja. Dia macam reflection lah untuk like kat office dekat apa yang jadi hari ni, what can be better for tomorrow's affair, what could have been done differently today which I didn't do, so that I can do better the next day. Jadi itu apa yang Lan buat sebolehnya. Kadang-kadang kita tak boleh lari kat jauh kan? Sebab ada mahkamah-mahkamah, contohnya negeri-negeri yang mana Ahad pun bekerja kan, macam Kelantan, dulu Johor pun bekerja hari Ahad, Kedah, Terengganu. Jadi terpaksa juga kena yasang kan.
Also, no, it's not
Betul, travel sebab nak bawa dokumen banyak kan. Jadi unless benda tu tak betul-betul tak boleh elak, Lan takkan kacau diorang ni weekend, dan Lan takkan benarkan diorang kacau Lan over the weekend. So we try to see each other on weekdays 9 to 6
during the office hours.
Within the.
So apart from pemakanan, so you have a very good support group with your friends that keep an eye on each other. How easy do you find getting information about in terms of nak tukar makanan apa yang bagus, makanan apa yang kurang kolesterol? How do you make that dietary decision? That's number one that I want to ask.
Ataupun kalau pergi gym, you get fitness instructor.
So our mind, you read my minds, but the next one is actually I nampak dekat story you a few times. Buat night run.
Buat night run, ya.
So,
Dekat sini Lan Merawati je. Ya. So apa Lan buat adalah Lan join lah night run tu. Dia setiap Rabu.
Is that your friend?
My friends. Ya.
Berlari ramai-ramai ke?
Berlari. Dia bukan dia yang Lan suka kat situ sebab situ ramai atletik. Tapi Lan memang tak lari lah.
Oh, you tak lari, you apa?
Brisk walk, jalan.
Also, I'm not. I don't know.
Dan diorang ni tak langsung judgmental bila diorang tengok, walaupun diorang ni memang sprinter themselves, very athletic themselves kan. Cuma diorang cakap lah, Lan, I nampak minggu lepas you macam jalan all the way. Okay, kali ni apa you jalan about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then you try jog for 1 minute, then you stop, you jalan balik, then you keep doing it. So, cara diorang cakap tu bukanlah macam judge ke or criticize. Dia macam, I see you've been doing this for the past 2-3 weeks, but hey, do you want to do something that might help you? So
sebab dia dalam positive circle.
Betul,
very positive.
Kataan betul lah. Dan sebenarnya satu lagi, ni Lan rasa semua orang kena tahu benda ni. Walaupun benda ni agak controversial. Benda ni. Bila ada masalah untuk orang yang dah bekerja, kan bila kita bekerja, maksud dia kita adalah sedikit financial resources. Betul? Dan bila isu-isu ni jadi, kebanyakan ada kawan-kawan Lan juga kan, bila jadi isu macam ni, pasal isu
masuk
hospital, masalah itu ini semua kan, berat badan dan semuanya, terus fikir jalan mudah. Itulah jalan mudah tu, ialah cocok sana sini, potong ni.
Kita ada cover di dalam episod
dan ada yang pergi, ada yang terus ambil decision, terus pergi Korea, pergi Thailand, tak tahu apa benda yang dibuang.
What do you feel about that?
Okay, terus terang Lan cakap. Terus terang.
Tergoda juga ke?
Tergoda juga. Awal-awal tergoda. Sebab bila kita ada masalah, benda pertama yang kita nak buanglah masalah tu.
Quick solution.
Betul. Kita nak buanglah masalah tu. Jadi apa ni paling cepat? Tapi benda yang cepat tu bukanlah benda yang selamat. Tak semestinya selamat dan tak semestinya practical. Dan Lan alhamdulillah dibesarkan dengan budaya yang mana kalau kita tak tahu tentang satu isu, kita tanya dengan orang yang berada dalam bidang itu, tanya ahli dia. Jadi ini masalah kesihatan, kita tanya doktor. Kita bukan tanya tengok testimoni TikTok, kita bukan tanya jiran-jiran ataupun founder-founder, kita tak tanya. Kita tanya orang dalam ahlinya. Sama juga Lan pun sebagai peguam rasa geram juga bila ada klien datang, kita bagi nasihat dekat dia, tak, actually I tengok dekat TikTok cakap lain. So kita pun marah kan. So kita pun marah kan macam tu. Jadi kita pun kena jangan buat jugalah benda tu.
Take our own advice.
Kena take our own advice. Betul. Jadi Lan akan approach kawan-kawan. Alhamdulillah kawan-kawan Lan pun kawan-kawan yang positif, kawan-kawan yang berilmu juga. Itu pun that's one of the privileges in life that I'm so grateful for. Dan approach kawan-kawan doktor kan, ingat tak Kak Ija, we talked about this dekat hospital kan, macam mana apa yang Lan kena buat kan. Dia cakap okay, jangan stress, jangan apa sebagainya. Jadi Lan ambil semua tu dan cuba harmonizekan advice ni semua. Dan to me tak ada jalan yang mudah lah, tak ada jalan pintas lah. Jadi berbalik pada soalan Syasha tadi, apa yang kita buat kan pada Lan sebagai bila kita bekerja, again I'm saying this again, kita ada sedikit financial resources kan, kita mula tergoda nak buat benda macam tu. Don't sebab ialah benda yang Lan rasa Kak Ja pun lagi tahu pasal lagi arif tentang ilmu ni kan. Sebab pada Lan tu
pakar dia.
Apa-apa jumpa dengan doktor, jumpa dengan ahlinya, ahli ilmu itu sendiri, bertanya.
You can go the old-fashioned way, blood, sweat and tears.
Betul.
There's no shortcut way. I mean, unless benda tu memang medical issue yang memang doktor dah sarankan, advice, okay, this is the procedure you need to do. But I think otherwise, the traditional way is always the best way. It might be take longer,
Bukanlah kata jangan sebab benda tak selamat. Again, because who am I to say this? I'm no doctor. Jumpa dengan doktor, dapatkan clearance daripada doktor. Kalau doktor kata, okay, go for it. Pergi.
Betul.
Ah.
Jadi kita dah bincangkan tentang kolesterol, darah tinggi, kencing manis, and semua dekatkan dengan faktor umur. I think we are mature age, all of us here sekarang ni.
Gracefully mature.
Warga berumur 40 ke 50, or maybe you might be younger, I'm not sure. I will leave that up to you too.
Biar yang tu.
Okay, tak apa. I'm turning 50 next year, insyaAllah. I stick around. But yeah, Alhamdulillah, I'm bersyukur with whatever that I have in my life now. And I've come to this point. So, tapi, belum warga emas lagi lah.
Belum. Wait.
InsyaAllah. Namun, yang kita nak bincangkan sekarang ni, all these things like macam kolesterol, darah tinggi, kencing manis, dah menyerang golongan yang lebih muda pada usia 20, 30 that you mentioned earlier. So, benda ni, bila kita bring it up pada mereka yang berumur 20, 30, they're like, they don't really have that insight into it yet because it hasn't happened to them. So my question to you is, if you could turn back time and you could speak to your younger self when you were 20, like what advice would you give yourself, your younger self?
In terms of
This hustle bustle culture.
in terms of leading a healthy lifestyle, I think the advice that I would have given to myself if I could go back in time adalah
Ni deep ni, kena fikir dulu ni.
bukan. Benda tu sentiasa ada je sebenarnya kan. Hidup ni satu benda yang sangat memberi nikmat.
Betul.
Kalau nikmat tu boleh diperolehi dan secara berpanjangan. Untuk nikmat berpanjangan tu kita dapat, apa yang kita kena buat adalah pastikan cara hidup kita tu pun dengan cara yang sihat supaya kita boleh teruskan nikmat hidup tu lah. Kan apalah guna kita dapat satu nikmat hidup dengan cara hidup yang tak sihat, dan nikmat tu akan jadi sangat sekejap. Jadi bila ada masalah yang berlaku yang kita tak boleh nak teruskan nikmat hidup pada masa-masa akan datang, so kalau ada masalah-masalah yang sangat teruk ataupun kritikal, jadi benda tu dah jadi benda yang kita akan boleh enjoy, atau kita mungkin akan mengenang nikmat tu sebagai memori tapi bukan sebagai benda yang sentiasa present.
Do you think your younger self, umur 20 tu, would actually listen to you though?
I think
Good
my
you.
younger self would have been very, very arrogantly dismissive of that. Yeah, without having the benefit of the experience that I had in this later stage of my life, hospitalization and all that. Yeah.
So moving forward, what other plans do you have for your future? I mean, you're gonna inshallah finish your thesis,
Inshallah.
and then you have plans after that. I know you like to travel a lot.
Yeah.
You're big into Shakespeare and all that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I hope I'll still be persistent in what I do professionally speaking as a lawyer. Habis belajar, insyaAllah tak bermaksud dan tak nak teruskan pelajaran lagi, dan masih lagi adalah beberapa plan yang terfikir untuk sambung pelajaran ataupun
double PhD maybe? Double.
that's one of the plans, or maybe my third degree. I'm considering my third
In
degree
also what? In English
in
lit?
psychology actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That this remains a plan. Let's just wait until the whole PhD thing. Huh?
Kenapa psychology?
Because human behavior
That I have
is very interesting to like.
Yeah, because you study human, you deal with humans in law kan, macam in medicine. I also, sebab walaupun I deal with like concrete disease like with cancer and things, but there's a lot of counselling and I have to like psychoanalyze my patients juga. Dia ni makan ubat ke tak kan? Apa family background dia. But more importantly, can I just get a comment on you? A comment from you? Okay, this hustle culture. Sometimes you want to be independent. Betul. And sometimes you are ultra independent, hyper independent. And sometimes that is actually a trauma response. Have you looked at it that way? And then it takes you back to adult, teenagehood or childhood even. And were you, atau not just you, but other people who are listening maybe, kalau you are ultra independent, nak buat semua sendiri, nak berjaya dengan tenaga sendiri. Are you trying to compensate something yang lacking masa kecil?
Yeah, that could be a case.
Ataupun you were neglected masa kecil, kita tak dapat support yang kita nak daripada kita punya caregivers, dan kita kena buat benda sendiri. So aku dah biasa buat sendiri daripada kecil sampai ke besar benda tu. You know, and then of course because you dah biasa buat sendiri semua, of course you get the result. You perform at school, you get good results, you build your own business, but where it comes from, the place where it comes from is actually from something. So when you mention you want to do psychology, I think it's a natural progression. Even the reason me and Sasha is here today, I mean she's in her own world and I'm in my own world, and then I don't know how we meet in the middle. How we collided together, but it comes from a place where we want to find the reason behind things rather than cakap superficial. Even hari tu pun kita cakap pasal cantik kan. Cantik is superficial, but we go beyond it, and then we found so many things. What's your comment?
Yeah. There are many layers to this question.
Yes, multiple.
Yeah.
For a budding psychologist.
One yet. Kenapa lah minat? Kenapa lah minat nak study psychology? Even dalam apa topik kita tengah cakap ni kan, pasal isu kesihatan ni. Isu kesihatan yang timbul ataupun masalah kesihatan yang timbul ni, at least dalam keadaan lain, dalam situasi lain, masalah-masalah kesihatan timbul sebab pilihan yang lain buat.
Choices. Like
Betul. Pemilihan yang lambat dalam hidup. Dari segi pemakanan, tidur, cara kita bekerja, cara kita value profession kita. Sampailah dia jadi. It's manifested in the incident of my hospitalization last year in December. Jadi, bila kita cakap pasal life choice ni kan, satu benda yang kita sendiri berfikir, cognition. Sendiri kita translate into action dan consequences that we face thereafter. Jadi benda-benda ni yang Lan rasa menarik untuk kita belajar, bukan sekadar untuk memahami sifat kata dikala orang ni, untuk kita faham.
you could apply it to yourself.
Betul.
And then once you've done it, then you can lead others.
Betul.
Then you can spread the awareness and ilmu, which is overly partly what we're doing today.
Betul.
To raise awareness, because I'm probably guilty of this as well, but you know, I'm at the age where kena buat medical check-up, kena check this, that. And sometimes I pun ada rasa macam maybe rendah diri juga bila bercakap dengan some of my my friends are same age as me tapi fit, tak ada apa-apa masalah. But when I check my blood, alamak kolesterol, you know, alamak nak kena makan ubat ke kan. Jadi ada benda pun macam, oh I'm a doctor some more. How can I have health problems when I'm a doctor? I should know better. Kan, but it makes us human. And sometimes benda-benda ni tabu sebab orang tak nak malu. There's a shame around talking about bila you ada penyakit tu. But so I'm so grateful that you are actually open about it, because it takes one person to open up and then the rest can like macam evoke something and betul lah. Kan kalau orang tu malu, orang ni malu, so kita pun macam just senyap je, dan benda tu jadi unspoken, dan lepas tu tiba-tiba masuk hospital.
So benda yang tak best ni lah, masalah kesihatan ni kan benda yang tak best kan. Kadang kita sendiri tak berapa nak selesa share dengan orang.
Betul.
Dan kalau kita share dengan orang pun, mungkin ada orang yang genuine bila nak dengar what's going on. Betul. Kan? Tapi ada orang yang akan judge ataupun akan dismiss. Jadi sebab perangai ataupun respon manusia ni yang pelbagai, jadi kadang bukan kita pun rasa macam tak nak share dengan orang. Tapi for me I feel very privileged in the sense that I am blessed with good friendship, good circle of friends. That I really do not care or do not give much weight to what others were not even my friends today.
Who's not in your circle.
Yeah, so long as people within my circle are appreciative of the importance of our health, our life, our mental sanity. Jadi itu yang paling penting.
I'm curious, I just want to ask you, I don't know whether this is a silly question, tapi in your opinion, macam you work as a lawyer, do you think that being a lawyer, and I don't know whether you can answer this, it might be, do you think it's a very highly stressful job compared to other work? Do you think if this hustle bustle culture can go right up to the top as well. But do you think that something who's working as a club, maybe, like behind, sitting at a desk, behind a screen, typing all day, do you think that they would experience the same stress maybe that you, because you are kena hadap macam-macam orang, macam-macam. People come to you, obviously they're disgruntled about something, right? That's why they want to go to court over something. So you not only have stress in your life, but you have to take on other people's stress as well, and ease them and comfort them and say, no, it's okay, I can help you solve this problem. So you think that's part also because of the profession that you're in?
I think to compare that my profession demands or attracts more stress would not be comparing like with like. It's like comparing apple to orange kan. Sebab Lan pun tak ada pengalaman kerja dalam profession yang lain, jadi Lan tak boleh nak compare. Cuma bercakap dari segi seorang peguam dalam bidang guaman itu sendiri, dia, dan Lan percaya seperti mana-mana profession sekalipun, dia satu pekerjaan yang memberikan stress pada kita. Sama juga macam like I said kan, like any other profession, every profession has its own share of stress inducements.
Betul.
And it's really down to how we navigate the stress, how we navigate this life as a lawyer. In the case of a lawyer, is presented with problems, conflicts, faced by their clients on top of our own conflicts.
Betul. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Jadi masalah orang tu kita kena jaga, so itu memang tanggungjawab kita lah kan. Dengan masalah sendiri yang kita tak boleh nak elak.
Macam contohnya, kalau at the end of the day when you go back home, do you leave all your work behind you and you're like, okay, dah tutup kedai, I'm going home now, get in the car and like, okay, I don't want to think about it anymore?
It wasn't the case last year. It wasn't how I thought. It was rightly or properly planned. Tapi tahun ni, itulah apa yang Lan buat. Okay, masalah ataupun kerja dekat office, okay, dah settle hari ni, masalah akan bersambung esok. Tapi malam ni tak, kita stop jap sebab I need my reading time, I need my classics, I need my philosophical books to read. So Lan lepas habis kerja, Lan tak terus balik rumah, Lan akan singgah dekat this one cafe, ke area sini juga. Lan akan duduk, akan baca buku, sambil borak-borak secara casual dengan staff-staff kat situ kan. Tapi most of the time I'll just be having my nose buried into the books and just enjoy anything non-legal related. I think that's my way of reclaiming my sanity, reclaiming my humanity, and my way of reminding myself of the fact that, okay, you're not just a lawyer, you are Alan Razak too. You are someone, I am my mom's son, I'm my sibling's brother, I'm my nieces and nephews' pakalan, and I'm my friend's good friend. Jadi this brings back the sort of the sense of humanity in me when I, detach myself temporarily from the lawyer life that I lead from 9 to 6.
And your family yang you said you tadi bagi tahu adik yang datang, so have they commented on the difference that they can see?
Ada, bila jumpa kan dengan diorang weekend kat depan our family outings lah, makan-makan ke kan, diorang akan cakap lah kan, dah kurus sikit. Tapi
masa I saw you masa birthday Im bulan 6 kan.
Oh yeah.
Terkejut cakap. Kau je terkejut. Lan, because you shrink a lot. But tak apa kerja. Lan tengah diet. Lan tengah buat this new macam okay. Kena atau
diet.
Healthy diet. Maksudnya macam you
bukan ikut TikTok punya random advice.
Intentionally lose weight. Intentionally lose weight. So I'm like macam, and then so I cakap, you look good. Kan?
Dulu atau kalau jumpa dengan abang-abang, adik-beradik semua kan, memang dia cakap lah, kurus. Tapi kurus tu sebenarnya permulaan untuk perbualan yang lagi serius lah. Okay, not just about being kurus. Then I talked to them about, my journey from 60-ish kg to my present weight. And it's not just about the weight, it's about the lifestyle too, the choice of food that we take, and the kind of positive environments that we ought to surround ourselves in. Yeah.
Maybe I can share something medical. So kalau macam blood pressure kan, there's a target lah about 140. Bacaan atas tu dengan bacaan bawah tu about 80 lah. So kita punya target.
Bukan 120 eh?
Warna tu normal, tapi kalau blood pressure kita nak the definition of hypertension 140 over 80 lah. Jadi there is some targets that you need to achieve. So sometimes can achieve by pharmacological, pakai ubat, ataupun if you really istiqamah, you have a really strong will and you have the resources kan. Some patient dietary or lifestyle changes will also achieve, tapi you really have to stick to a new regimen of lifestyle, and not that's what I cakap going back, not a lot of us has that discipline. Okay, so I think it's quite profound sebab ni melibatkan orang muda tau, dia bukan penyakit orang tua tau, orang muda pun dah dapat. So I think it's very valuable what you share with us, and also eye-opening hopefully kepada people your age or younger, that this can also affect them at any time. And I just want to say thank you for opening up lah, because some of the things that we see is very personal.
It's worth sharing. It's a lesson to myself as it is, I believe, to everyone.
I just want to say, like, in this example, we spoke to you, and your wake-up call was your health. I think for some people who, with this hustle bustle culture dengan workaholic, whether they realize it or not, kadang-kadang wake-up call diorang bukan necessarily health. It could be marital problems where maybe the spouse cannot take the partner being a workaholic, and they just, the stress is transferred onto them in the relationship. I think there's many ways of that wake-up call. But I think what's important is when you get that wake-up call, act on it.
Betul.
Yeah.
You don't get the wake-up call every day.
Betul.
Kan?
Allah bagi
Betul. It's
satu
sort of the divine wisdom that no one gets.
Betul.
Yeah.
So, ada rahmatnya kan?
Betul.
Walaupun it's not pleasant masuk hospital, but this is the rahmat. You are healthier now, and you are able to share and hopefully more inspire the people. Because I mean, you are quite an influencer juga kan, so hopefully your followers pun baca. And then it triggers something in them to do health check-up, check BP, check cholesterol. Lepas tu, alamak tinggi jugalah, and then people start reflect.
Yeah.
Betul tak? I think that's what we hope to achieve lah.
Rasa kena approach orang yang betul. Kalau bila berborak dengan kawan-kawan kan, cakap pasal benda ni bila baca lah somewhere kan dekat internet kan.
Ada je ajak pergi Thailand.
Ajak pergi sana, pergi sini, kuliah, ataupun bila bagi nasihat pasal kesihatan kan, ada orang kata tak boleh juga, kena juga consider itu dan ini. Tapi sebab terlalu banyak sangat opinion, kita berbalik kepada fakta bahawa kita bukan bidang, kita bukan pakar dalam bidang, kita bukan ahli dalam bidang.
Maksudnya jangan pandai.
Jangan memandai-mandai. Jadi pergi jumpa. Saya rasa sekarang ni 2025. Everyone gets comfortable access to medical advice. Medical
Jadi kalau tak
proper
dapat
medical
duit
advice.
pergi hospital swasta pun, sekarang
kerajaan.
dapat hospital kerajaan pun menawarkan perawatan. So I was just going to say also that kalau kita tak semestinya bergantung pada ubat, yang penting juga untuk kita talk to somebody about it. Kalau tak nak pergi jumpa psychologist ke, cari teman yang rapat kita, ahli keluarga yang rapat, talk about it. Because there's always, like you said, ada di sebalik tu, there's something going on underneath. So
Subconscious programming tu kan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we look forward to hear for your PhD.
Inshallah.
And also the second PhD.
I look forward to sharing this news should they surface in the future. Amin, doakan.
Satu yang membanggakan lah, anak Melayu buat English Lit sampai PhD.
Ya, betul.
Kan Pak Saleh tu tahu dia. Ni Pak Saleh ni.
Kan dah suruh quote sikit Mr. Darcy ni.
Itu kena another podcast.
So like now about Jane Austen. Okay, so terima kasih banyak. It was such a pleasure to have you here.
Likewise, on the result, Shashan saja.
We hope that ramai di luar sana yang menonton di YouTube dan juga yang mendengar kita di Spotify. We hope that like we keep saying this over and over again, the reason why we're doing this is really to share with people out there. Like you said, kadang-kadang orang segan nak pergi jumpa the professionals, so they tend to Google or ChatGPT, which I guess initially is okay because you want answers to your questions immediately, but the best thing to do is go and see
Make an appointment for formal consultation.
betul.
Jumpa orang yang sepatutnya.
Yes, ya, betul. Jadi, terima kasih kepada yang mendengar dan please tune in. InsyaAllah kita berkongsi lagi dalam episod yang akan datang. Hello sihat, apa khabar, dan teruskan usaha kita untuk mencari makna diversity.
Thank you so much again. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much again and again. Hopefully we'll have you again in another season. Season 1. Dia sama juga dengan Azlan ni kan nak buat second. Kamu ingat second.
That's definitely doable. Let's do that.
Yes. So thank you so much again watching us, and please be kind to yourself and be kind to others and take care of each other. Sampai jumpa lagi. Take care. Bye-bye.